Millionaire CEO was on duty when he saved a baby boy and froze learning she was his ex's son. Hi, my beautiful family. Welcome back to Mr. Peter Stories, your own family channel. Heavenly God, today we come before you with hearts full of humility and love. Please pour your divine strength upon every woman in this family. Wrap her in protection, crown her with dignity, and fill her soul with peace that no hardship can steal. She is the heartbeat of homes, the quiet courage behind every sacrifice, the gentle power that holds generations together. Honor her steps, heal her body, calm her worries, and reward her patience with joy beyond measure. Bless her health, her mind, and her spirit. When she feels tired, be her strength. When she feels unseen, be her comfort. When life becomes heavy, lift her with your mercy. Let every woman here feel respected, valued, and deeply loved, not just by words, but by life itself. My beautiful family, this channel is built on emotion, respect, and truth. Every story, every prayer, every word comes from my heart to yours. If you feel this bond, stay with me. If these words touch you, let your presence be felt. We are not strangers here. We are one family, standing together with love, faith, and respect. If your heart is true, like the video. If your love is real, write, I am with Mr. Peter. Let's start with love. The wine hit Finn Allen's tuxedo like a baptism in humiliation. He stood frozen in the center of the grand ballroom, Chateau Margaux dripping down his chest, staining the white shirt beneath his jacket a deep crimson. Around him, the entire Washington medical gala had gone silent. 200 of the city's most powerful doctors, investors, and philanthropists watched as his wife held the empty bottle above her head like a trophy. There, Hope Carter said, her voice cutting through the silence like glass. Now you look as pathetic as you actually are. Finn didn't move, couldn't move. The shock of it, not the wine. He'd grown used to her cruelty, but the publicness of it, the finality, paralyzed him. Hope swayed slightly in her designer gown, diamonds glittering at her throat, diamonds her father had bought. Everything about her was bought, including the man standing before her, drenched in wine. 5 years, she continued, speaking to the room now, not him. 5 years I've wasted on a man who plays doctor and businessman, while my father's money does all the real work. You want to know the truth about Dr. Finn Allen, chief of surgery? She laughed, high and sharp. He's a nobody, a charity case playing dress-up in a world he'll never belong to. Finn's colleague, Dr. Mira Okonkwo, started toward them, her face furious, but Finn caught her eye and shook his head slightly. Don't. This was his nightmare to endure. Hope wasn't finished. She stepped closer, and he could smell the alcohol on her breath, see the rage that had been building for weeks finally erupting. Marrying you was my biggest mistake, she hissed, quiet enough now that only he could hear. Every morning I wake up and remember I'm stuck with you. I want to scream. You're pathetic, Finn. A pathetic little boy who thought he could become something by marrying me. His phone exploded in his pocket, vibrating violently. He pulled it out with shaking hands. The screen showed the emergency line from Seattle Grace Hospital, his hospital, the flagship of Allen Medical Group. Level 1 trauma, pediatric, critical condition, drowning victim, age approximately 2 years, multiple units responding. ETA to ER, 8 minutes. I have to go, Finn said quietly. Hope grabbed his arm. Don't you dare walk away from me. There's a child dying. He pulled free, his voice steady despite the wine soaking through to his skin. I have to go. Of course you do. Hope's laugh followed him as he turned. Run away, Finn. It's what you're best at. He walked through that silent ballroom with his head up, wine dripping from his jacket, and didn't look back. The parking garage was a blur. He stripped off the ruined tuxedo jacket, threw it in the back seat of his car, and drove. The storm had turned Washington into chaos. Rain hammered his windshield so hard the wipers couldn't keep up. Lightning cracked across the sky, illuminating fallen trees blocking intersections. The radio crackled with emergency bulletins, flash flooding, roads closing, stay home if possible. Finn pushed the car faster. His hands were steady on the wheel, but inside, Hope's words circled like vultures. Pathetic. Nobody. Playing dress-up. He'd heard variations of this for 5 years, but tonight something had broken. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was doing it in front of everyone they knew. Maybe it was just the final straw in a marriage that had been dead since the wedding night. His parents had given him a choice when he was 29. Marry Hope Carter, secure her father Gerald Carter's investment in the struggling Allen Medical Group, or watch the hospitals his grandfather had built crumble into bankruptcy. They'd presented it like a business decision. And Finn, drowning in debt and responsibility, had treated it like one. He'd told himself it wouldn't be forever, that he'd find a way out eventually. 5 years later, he was still trapped. The hospital appeared through the rain like salvation. Finn abandoned his car in the emergency bay, not caring about proper parking, and ran. Inside, organized chaos. Nurses prepping trauma bay, residents scrambling. The charge nurse, Rita, saw him, and her eyes widened. "Dr. Allen, sir, you're not on call tonight, and you're—" She gestured at his wine-stained shirt. "I know. Where's the patient?" "Incoming. Ambulance just pulled in." Finn was already moving to the trauma entrance, grabbing a surgical gown as he went. He could feel eyes on him, the wine stains showing up when he wasn't scheduled. But he didn't care. The ambulance bay doors burst open. Paramedics rushed in with a stretcher, and Finn's entire world narrowed to the small figure strapped to it. A little boy, tiny, soaked through, lips blue. 2-year-old male, the lead paramedic called out. Near drowning flash flood, car went into the river off Henderson Bridge. Mother pulled him out, performed CPR at scene, got a pulse back, but he's barely holding on. Stats are... Finn wasn't listening anymore. He was looking at the chart they'd handed him. Patient name, Scott Stokes. The room tilted. Stokes. It couldn't be. There were thousands of people with that last name in Washington. It was a coincidence. It had to be. "Dr. Allen?" Rita was next to him. "Sir?" Finn forced himself to focus. The boy was dying. Everything else could wait. "Trauma Bay 2, he ordered, his voice suddenly clear and commanding. "Page anesthesia, respiratory, and get me a cardiac consult. Move." They moved. For the next several hours, Finn existed in the only place he'd ever felt truly in control, the operating room. The little boy's heart stopped once on the table. Finn brought him back. It stopped again during the procedure. Finn brought him back again. When they finally wheeled Scott to pediatric ICU, stable but critical, Finn felt like he'd aged a decade. He stood at the scrub sink, washing his hands for the 3rd time, staring at nothing. Scott Stokes. Dr. Mira appeared next to him, still in her evening gown from the gala, surgical gown thrown over it. "You saved him," she said quietly. "That was incredible work, Finn. His name is Stokes." Mira looked at him. "I know. It can't be her. It's been 5 years." "There's a woman in the waiting room," Mira said carefully. "She's asking about her son. Rita said she's been there since they brought him in. She's covered in mud. From the river." Finn's hands were shaking. He gripped the edge of the sink. "What does she look like?" "I didn't see her. But Finn, you need to go talk to the family anyway. You're the surgeon of record." He dried his hands slowly, deliberately, put on a clean white coat over his wine-stained shirt, walked toward the family waiting room like a man heading for execution. She was standing by the window, arms wrapped around herself, staring out at the rain. Her clothes were still wet, covered in dried mud. Her hair, longer than he remembered, hung in tangles down her back. "Miss Stokes?" She turned. Nikita. 5 years had changed her, made her harder somehow, sharper, but her eyes, those eyes he'd dreamed about for months after losing her, were exactly the same. "Finn?" His name came out as barely a whisper. She looked at him like she was seeing a ghost. Maybe she was. "Your son is stable," he said, the words mechanical, professional. "The surgery went well. We had to. There was some water in his lungs and his heart stopped twice, but we got him back. He's strong. He's going to make it." Nikita's legs gave out. She sat down hard in one of the plastic chairs, hands covering her face. The sobs came from somewhere deep, wrenching and raw. Finn stood there uselessly, watching her fall apart, his own heart hammering against his ribs. When she finally looked up, her face was streaked with tears and mud. "You saved him," she said. "You saved my baby. That's what I do. I thought, when his heart stopped in the ambulance, I thought—" She couldn't finish. Finn sat down next to her, maintaining a professional distance, but everything in him wanted to reach for her. "Tell me what happened." Nikita took a shuddering breath. "I was driving home from work. The weather alert said the storm was coming, but I thought I had time. I didn't know the river would rise that fast. We were on Henderson Bridge and the water it came from nowhere. The car went in." Her voice cracked, but she kept going. "I got Scott out of his car seat, got him to the surface. But the current, I lost him. I lost my baby in that water, and I couldn't reach him." "But you did," Finn said quietly. "You found him. You did CPR. I found him on a tree branch. He wasn't breathing. I dragged him to shore, and I did compressions just like—" She stopped, looked at him. "Just like you taught me. In that first aid class you made me take. Remember?" He remembered. 6 years ago. Different lives, different people. "It worked," he said. "You saved him before the paramedics even got there." They sat in silence for a moment. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Somewhere down the hall, a monitor beeped steadily. "You have a son," Finn said, and immediately regretted it, stating the obvious. But his brain couldn't process this. Nikita looked down at her hands. "Yes. He's 2. Yes." Finn did the math despite himself. 5 years since they'd ended. She'd moved on fast. The thought sent something sharp through his chest. "Can I see him?" Nikita asked. "Please, I need to see him." "Of course, I'll take you." They walked through the quiet hallways of pediatric ICU. Finn was aware of nurses watching them, whispering. Small hospital. Everyone knew everyone's business. Scott was in a private room surrounded by monitors. He looked impossibly small in the hospital bed, oxygen mask over his face, IVs in his tiny arms. Nikita stopped in the doorway, fresh tears streaming down her face. "Oh, baby," she whispered. She went to him, taking his small hand carefully, mindful of the IV. She kissed his forehead, his cheeks, murmuring things Finn couldn't hear. He stood back, giving them space, but he couldn't look away from the little boy. Scott had Nikita's face, her exact eyes, her nose. But there was something else there too, something that made Finn's chest ache. "Does he have a father?" The question came out before Finn could stop it. "Someone I should call?" Nikita's jaw tightened. She didn't look at him. "No," she said flatly. "There's no father." The words hung between them, heavy with meaning Finn didn't understand yet. Scott stirred slightly, made a small sound. Nikita froze, leaning closer. "Mama's here, baby," she whispered. "Mama's right here." Finn checked the monitors. Everything stable. The boy was strong. He'd make it through this. "Ms. Stokes, I need to discuss the billing with you," he said quietly. "The surgery, the ICU stay, it'll be expensive." She finally looked at him, and he saw something in her eyes he'd never seen before. Shame. "I don't have insurance," she said. "I lost my job last month. I've been working part-time, but I couldn't afford—" She stopped, looking back at her son. "How much?" she asked. Finn thought of the surgery, the specialists, the ICU care that Scott would need for at least a week, easily several $100,000. "Let me handle it," he said. "Finn, I can't. It's already done. Consider it handled." "Why?" She turned to face him fully now. "Why would you do that?" "Because I loved you. Because I let you go, and it's haunted me every day since. Because looking at your son makes me feel something I haven't felt in 5 years. Because you need help," he said instead. "That's all." Nikita stared at him, and he saw her trying to reconcile this man, this wealthy surgeon, chief of a medical empire, with the resident she'd known years ago. "You're married," she said suddenly. "I saw the ring." Finn looked down at the gold band on his finger. Hope had picked it out. Expensive, cold, like everything about their marriage. "Yes," he said. "Then you should go home to your wife." There was no accusation in her voice, just a wall going up between them, brick by brick. "Nikita, thank you for saving my son, Dr. Allen." Her voice was formal now, distant. "I'll never be able to repay you for that, but you should go." She turned back to Scott, effectively dismissing him. Finn stood there for another moment, wanting to say something, anything, to bridge the chasm that had opened between them. But what could he say? "I'm married, but miserable. I think about you constantly. Seeing you again feels like coming back to life." He left. In the hallway, he pulled out his phone. 23 missed calls, 15 from Hope, 8 from his father. He deleted them all without listening. Then he called his lawyer. "Jeff, it's Finn Allen. I need you to draw up divorce papers. Tonight. I don't care what time it is. I want them ready to file tomorrow morning." He hung up before Jeff could respond. Back in the ICU room, through the window, he could see Nikita holding her son's hand, her head bowed like she was praying. Finn Allen had spent 5 years in a prison of his own making, telling himself he had no choice, that duty and responsibility mattered more than happiness. But watching Nikita with her son, seeing the life she'd built without him, something inside him finally broke open. He'd made his choice 5 years ago, and it had been the wrong one. He wouldn't make that mistake again. Chapter 2. The Truth That Breaks Everything. Finn didn't sleep. He sat in his office at the hospital as dawn broke over Washington, divorce papers spread across his desk. Jeff had delivered them at 4 in the morning without questions. Good lawyers knew when to stay silent. The signature line waited. One name, and he'd be free. But freedom came with a price tag he wasn't sure he could afford. His phone rang. Gerald Carter. Finn let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message. "Hope told me what happened at the gala. Unacceptable behavior on your part. Abandoning her like that. We need to talk. Today. My office. 10 o'clock. Not a request. Never a request with Gerald. Finn stared at the divorce papers. His pen hovered over the signature line. Then he set it down. Not yet. He needed to understand what he was up against first. At 7, he went back to the ICU. Scott had been moved to a regular room overnight, vitals strong. Nikita was asleep in the chair beside his bed, her head resting on the mattress next to her son's hand. Finn stood in the doorway watching them. In sleep, Nikita looked younger, more like the woman he'd known, the woman he'd loved, the woman he'd let go. Scott's eyes opened. The little boy looked around, confused, then saw his mother and relaxed. Then he saw Finn. "Hi," Scott whispered. Finn put a finger to his lips, glancing at Nikita. "Let's let Mama sleep. How are you feeling, buddy?" "Tired." Scott's voice was hoarse from the breathing tube. "My chest hurts." "I know. That's because you were very sick, but you're getting better." "You're the doctor?" "I am. You saved me?" Finn moved closer, checking the monitors quietly. "Your mama saved you. I just helped." Scott considered this. "Mama said we went in the water. I don't remember." "That's okay. You don't need to remember." Are you Mama's friend? The question hit Finn harder than it should have. I was. A long time ago. Why not now? That's complicated. Grown-ups always say that, Scott said solemnly. Then, I'm hungry. Finn smiled. That's a very good sign. What do you like to eat? Pancakes, with lots of syrup. I'll see what I can do. Nikita stirred, lifting her head. Her eyes found Finn immediately, and something flickered across her face. Surprise. Then that wall again. Morning, Finn said. You're here early. She sat up, wincing as her back cracked. Or did you never leave? I left. Came back. Scott reached for his mother. Mama, I'm hungry. Nikita's face transformed, pure relief flooding through. Oh, baby, that's wonderful. That's so wonderful. She kissed his forehead. What do you want? The doctor said maybe pancakes. Nikita looked at Finn. You're giving my son dietary advice now? There was no heat in it. Almost teasing. Almost like before. Patient requested pancakes. I'm just the messenger. Hospital pancakes are terrible. I know. I'll have someone bring something from outside. Finn, you don't have to. I want to. He met her eyes. Let me do this. Please. Nikita looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. An hour later, Scott was eating pancakes from Nikita's favorite diner, or what used to be her favorite diner. Finn had remembered. She'd noticed. While Scott ate, Finn did his rounds. When he came back, a woman was sitting with Nikita. Dark-skinned, sharp-eyed, protective stance. She looked up when Finn entered and her face hardened. So you're him, the woman said. The famous Finn Allen. Ray, Nikita said quietly. Don't. Ray Stokes. Nikita's sister. She'd hated Finn even when they were together. I'm just here to check on my patient, Finn said evenly. Your patient. Ray laughed without humor. Right. That's what we're calling it. Ray, please. Nikita stood, putting herself between them. Not here. Not now. Ray looked at her sister, then at Scott, then back at Finn. Fine, but we're going to talk. She pointed at Finn. You and me, later. She left. Scott was watching with wide eyes. Is that lady mad? That's your Aunt Ray, Nikita said, smoothing his hair. She's just protective of us. Why? Because she loves us. Scott seemed to accept this. He yawned, syrup on his chin. Someone's tired, Finn said. That's normal. Your body is working hard to heal. Will you stay? Scott asked. While I sleep? Nikita and Finn both froze. Buddy, the doctor has other patients. Nikita started. Just for a little bit, Finn said, until you fall asleep. Scott smiled, snuggling into his pillow. Tell Mama to sit too. She didn't sleep in a real bed. There was no refusing a sick toddler. Nikita sat. Finn took the other chair. Scott's eyes were already drooping. Sing the song, Mama. Nikita's voice, soft and sweet, filled the room. A lullaby Finn didn't recognize. Scott was asleep before she finished. Silence fell, heavy and full of things unsaid. You don't have to stay, Nikita said finally. I told him I would. Finn. She looked at him, really looked at him. What are you doing? I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do. The bill, the food, sitting here. You're married. This, whatever this is, it can't happen. Finn wanted to tell her about the divorce papers sitting in his office, but something stopped him. Maybe because he hadn't signed them yet. Maybe because he needed to understand what signing them would cost. I know, he said instead. Do you? Because it feels like you're trying to, I don't know, fix something that's been broken for 5 years. Maybe I am. You can't. It's too late. Is it? Nikita stood up, needing distance. Yes, Finn, you made your choice. You chose your family's business. You chose hope. That's fine. I understand why. But you don't get to come back now and confuse everything. What if I told you I was unhappy? That my marriage is... Don't. Nikita held up a hand. Don't make me the reason you leave your wife. I won't be that person. You're not. I am, and we both know it. She wrapped her arms around herself. Just thank you for saving Scott, for covering the bills. I'll pay you back somehow. I don't want you to pay me back. Well, I can't just accept it. I can't be indebted to you. It's not about debt. Then what is it about? Her voice rose slightly. Why are you really doing this? Because I love you. Because seeing you again reminded me what happiness feels like. Because I've been dead inside for 5 years and you make me feel alive. Because it's the right thing to do, he said. The disappointment in her eyes was crushing. Right. The right thing. She moved toward the door. You should go. I'm sure Hope is worried. She wasn't. Hope probably hadn't even noticed he hadn't come home, but Nikita didn't need to know that. Finn left. He went straight to Gerald Carter's office. Gerald sat behind his massive desk, Hope beside him. She'd changed since the gala, cleaned up, but her eyes were red and puffy. Sit, Gerald commanded. Finn remained standing. I'm here. What do you want? An explanation. You humiliated my daughter in front of everyone we know. She humiliated herself and me. Hope flinched. I was drunk. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix it. I know. Hope stood, moving toward him. But I want to try. We can go to counseling. Actually work on this marriage instead of just coexisting. Hope, please, Finn. Just give me a chance. I know I've been terrible. I know I've hurt you. But I can change. There was something in her voice. Genuine desperation. For the first time in 5 years, Hope sounded like she actually cared. It caught Finn off guard. You called me pathetic, he said quietly, in front of 200 people. I know, and I hate myself for it. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I've been so angry at you, at my father, at myself. I married you because I was told to, not because I wanted to, and I've been punishing you for it ever since. Finn stared at her. In 5 years, Hope had never admitted this. I don't love you, she continued. I don't think I ever did. But I don't want to hate you either. And that's what I've been doing. Hating you for being trapped the same way I am. Gerald stood. Hope, enough. No, Dad. He deserves the truth. She looked at Finn. We're both miserable. We both want out. But if we divorce now, my father will make your life hell. He'll destroy everything you've built. Hope, Gerald warned. It's true, and you know it. She turned back to Finn. So here's what I'm proposing. We stay married for 1 more year. We go to counseling. We try to at least be civil to each other. And at the end of that year, I'll file for divorce. You'll get a clean split, and my father will let you keep the hospitals. Why would you do that? Finn asked. Because I'm tired too. Tired of being angry. Tired of hurting you. Tired of this whole mess. Hope wiped her eyes. 1 year. Then we're both free. That's the best I can offer. Finn looked at Gerald. And you agree to this? Gerald's face was stone. It's not my first choice, but if it's what Hope wants, I'll honor it. Why? For the first time, Gerald looked uncomfortable. Because she's my daughter, and I've forced her into enough things she didn't want. I won't force her to stay in a marriage that makes her miserable. It was the most human thing Finn had ever heard Gerald say. 1 year, Finn repeated. 1 year, Hope confirmed. We smile for the cameras, we do the events, we pretend to work on it, then it's over. Finn thought about the divorce papers in his office, about Nikita's face when she'd told him to leave. 1 year felt like forever, but it also felt like the only path that didn't end in total destruction. There's a condition, he said. What? The woman from the ICU, Nikita Stokes. You leave her alone. No threats, no games. Her medical bills stay covered. No retaliation. Gerald's eyes narrowed. Who is she to you? Someone I knew, someone I'm helping. That's all you need to know. Is she the reason you wanted a divorce? No. My reason for wanting a divorce is sitting right there. Finn gestured at Hope. But I won't agree to this unless Nikita is protected. Gerald considered it. Fine, we leave her alone. Swear it. I give you my word. It wasn't much, but it was something. Finn agreed to the 1-year deal. As he left, Hope caught his arm. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For not making this uglier than it has to be. Finn looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time saw past the cruelty to the trapped woman beneath. We're both prisoners, he said. Might as well be civil about it. She almost smiled. Almost. He went back to the hospital, back to his office, stared at those divorce papers, then he locked them in his desk drawer. 1 year. He could survive 1 year. The question was whether his heart could. Chapter 3. The Hunt and the Trap. For the next several weeks, Finn lived in limbo. By day, he was the devoted husband. He and Hope went to counseling, real counseling, not just for show. Their therapist, Dr. Keisha Williams, was sharp and didn't accept their bullshit. You're both here out of obligation, not desire, she said in their second session. That's not going to work. We have an agreement, Hope said. 1 year, then we're done. So you're planning to fail? We're planning to be realistic. Dr. Williams leaned back. Here's what I see. 2 people who've spent 5 years hurting each other because they're too scared to be honest about what they really want. You want to spend the next year doing the same thing? Or do you want to actually try to understand each other before you part ways? It was a fair question. Slowly, painfully, they started to talk. Really talk. Hope admitted she'd always felt like a disappointment to her father, that marrying Finn was supposed to prove she was valuable, that when Finn seemed more interested in his work than in her, it confirmed every fear she had about herself. I made you the enemy, she said, because it was easier than admitting I hated myself. Finn admitted he'd never given their marriage a real chance, that he'd been in love with someone else when they got engaged, that he'd treated Hope like a business transaction instead of a person. I resented you for being the cage, he said, but you didn't build it. We both walked into it. It didn't fix anything, but it made the air between them a little less poisonous. They still slept in separate rooms, still barely touched, but they stopped actively hurting each other. It was something. By night, Finn worked and thought about Nikita. Scott had been discharged after a week. Finn had checked on him professionally, but Nikita had been polite and distant. Thank you, doctor. He's doing well. We appreciate everything. She directed a wall between them, and Finn didn't know how to scale it. He tried calling once. She didn't answer. He didn't try again. Until Mira cornered him in his office late one night. You look terrible, she said. Thanks. How's the counseling going? Better than expected. Hope and I might actually end this as friends. That's good. Mira sat down. And Nikita? What about her? Don't play dumb. You've been miserable since Scott was discharged. I'm fine. You're not. You're in love with her. Finn didn't deny it. So what's stopping you? Mira asked. You have a timeline. 1 year and you're free. Tell her that. And say what? Wait for me? Put your life on hold while I play husband to someone else? Tell her the truth. The truth is, I'm trapped, and she deserves better than someone who's trapped. The truth is you're scared, Mira corrected. Scared she won't wait. Scared you'll lose her again, so you're not even trying. What's the point? She made it clear she doesn't want me in her life. Did she? Or did she just refuse to be the other woman? Mira leaned forward. There's a difference between not wanting you and protecting herself from getting hurt again. Finn wanted to believe that. But every time he remembered the look on Nikita's face when she dismissed him, the hope died. "I can't ask her to wait," he said. "Then don't ask, just be honest. Tell her what's happening. Let her decide what she wants to do with that information." Before Finn could respond, his phone rang. Unknown number. "Dr. Allen, this is Simone Cross, attorney at law. I'm calling on behalf of Nikita Stokes." Finn's heart stopped. "Is she okay? Is Scott?" "They're fine physically, but we have a legal situation. Scott's biological father has filed for emergency custody." "What?" "John Barnes. He's claiming Nikita is unstable, unfit. He wants custody of Scott. That's insane. He abandoned them." "I know, but he has lawyers, good ones, and he's making this ugly." Simone paused. "I need to know. Will you testify about Scott's medical condition? About what happened the night of the accident?" "Of course. Whatever Nikita needs." "Good, because she needs all the help she can get. The preliminary hearing is next week." Simone gave him the details and hung up. Finn stared at his phone. John Barnes, coming back after all this time. He called Nikita immediately. This time she answered. "I heard about John," he said without preamble. "Simone told you?" "Yes, I'm testifying." "You don't have to." "I want to." "Nikita, this is wrong. He can't just show up and—" "I know it's wrong, but he has his parents behind him, Vernon and Phyllis Barnes. They have money and connections and they want their grandson." Finn could hear the fear in her voice. "Let me help." "You are helping. You're testifying. That's enough." "It's not. Let me pay for Simone. Let me—" "No." Her voice was firm. "I can't keep taking money from you. I can't be that person." "What person?" "The one who needs saving, who can't handle her own life. That's not what this is, isn't it? Finn, every time you swoop in and fix things, you're telling me I'm not capable. And maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not. But I need to at least try. You're one of the most capable people I know." "Then let me prove it." They were both silent for a moment. "I'm scared," Nikita said quietly. "Me too. I can't lose him. He's everything." "You won't. We'll fight this. Together." "You keep saying we, but there is no we, Finn. You have a wife, a life. I have Scott. That's it." "Nikita, I have to go. Thank you for agreeing to testify." She hung up. Finn sat in his office, feeling helpless. The preliminary hearing was brutal. John showed up looking respectable, flanked by expensive lawyers. His parents sat behind him, Vernon and Phyllis Barnes, both in their 60s, both radiating wealth and power. Nikita looked small next to them. Her lawyer Simone was good, but she was one woman against a machine. The judge was older, conservative, clearly unimpressed with both sides. John's lawyer painted him as a young man who'd made mistakes, but was ready to step up. Nikita's lawyer countered with abandonment. The judge ordered a home study. Outside the courthouse, Vernon Barnes approached Nikita. He was tall, silver-haired, commanding. Everything about him screamed power. "Miss Stokes," he said, "a word." Simone stepped between them. "You can speak through counsel. This isn't about the case. This is about what's best for my grandson." "Your grandson who you've never met?" Ray said sharply. She'd come to support Nikita. Vernon didn't flinch. "We made a mistake. We should have been involved from the beginning, but we're trying to correct that now." "By taking him from his mother?" Nikita's voice shook. "By giving him opportunities you can't provide. The best schools, travel, a future without financial stress. He has a future with me." "Does he?" Vernon pulled out a business card. "My number. When you're ready to discuss a reasonable arrangement, shared custody, financial support, call me. We don't have to be enemies, Miss Stokes." He walked away before anyone could respond. That night, Finn went to Nikita's apartment, despite knowing she wouldn't want him there. Ray answered the door. "She doesn't want to see you." "I know, but I'm here anyway." Ray studied him. "Why?" Because she needs people in her corner, even if she's too proud to ask. And you think you're in her corner? I'm trying to be. Ray sighed. She's on the balcony, don't make it worse. Finn found Nikita standing outside, arms wrapped around herself against the cold. Ray let me in, he said. She shouldn't have. Probably not. They stood in silence. Vernon offered me money, Nikita said. Did you know that? I figured. He thinks I can be bought, that I'd give up my son for the right price. He's wrong. Is he? I'm broke, Finn. I can barely afford this apartment. Scott's preschool is eating up half my paycheck. Vernon can give him everything. He can't give him you. Maybe that's not enough. Finn moved closer. Stop. You're spiraling. I'm being realistic. You're being scared. There's a difference. Nikita turned to face him. Of course I'm scared. They're going to take him. Vernon has lawyers and money and judges in his pocket, probably. What do I have? You have me. For how long? Until your wife gets upset? Until this becomes inconvenient? The words stung because they were fair. I'm getting divorced, Finn said, in about 10 months. Hope and I have an agreement. We're staying together for 1 more year to make the transition smooth. Then we're done. Nikita stared at him. You're what? Divorcing her. I should have told you sooner. I didn't want you to feel pressured, or like you had to wait for me. 10 months. Yes. So you're asking me to wait 10 months while you live with another woman? No. I'm telling you the truth. What you do with that is up to you. Nikita laughed bitterly. You're unbelievable. What? You think this makes it better, knowing there's an expiration date on your marriage? It makes it worse, Finn, because now I have to watch you choose her every day for 10 more months. I'm not choosing her. Yes, you are. Every morning you wake up in her house, every event you go to together, every time you play the devoted husband, you're choosing her over me. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. Nikita was crying now. I learned that when my husband divorced me the day after our wedding. I learned it when I raised a baby alone. I learned it when his heart stopped in my arms. So don't talk to me about fair. Finn wanted to reach for her, but she stepped back. Just go, she said. Nikita, please, just go. He went, and the distance between them grew wider. Chapter 4. The Deal with the Devil. The home study happened a week later. A social worker named Ms. Brennan came to Nikita's apartment. It was small but clean, filled with Scott's artwork and toys. Tell me about your support system, Ms. Brennan said. I have my sister Ray, my mother Claudette when she can get away from work, and some friends from the neighborhood. What about Scott's father? John signed away his rights. We have no relationship. And Dr. Allen? Nikita hesitated. We're friends. He helped when Scott was sick. He pays your medical bills. Yes. Why? Because he's a good person. Ms. Brennan made notes. Are you in a relationship with him? No, he's married. But you were involved before? Years ago, it didn't work out. And now? Now we're figuring it out. Ms. Brennan didn't look convinced. She also visited John's apartment. He'd transformed it. New furniture, toys, a nanny on staff for the visit. His parents were there, playing doting grandparents. It was all theater, but it looked impressive. The report came back weeks later, not favorable for either side. Miss Stokes shows dedication, but limited resources. Mr. Barnes shows preparation, but limited connection to the child. Recommend further evaluation. Which meant more time, more uncertainty. Nikita was falling apart. Finn could see it every time he saw her, which wasn't often. She was avoiding him. One night, desperate, he showed up at her apartment with food. I brought Chinese, he said when she answered the door. Scott's favorite. He's at Ray's. Then it's your favorite. Can I come in? Nikita looked like she wanted to say no, but she stepped aside. They ate in silence at her small table. How are you holding up? Finn asked. I'm not. That's honest. I'm tired of lying. She set down her chopsticks. I'm terrified. Every day I wake up thinking this is the day they take him, and I can't breathe. They won't take him. You don't know that. I know you're his mother. I know you love him more than anything. That has to count for something. Does it? Vernon Barnes has power. He can make judges see things his way. Then we fight harder. Stop saying we. Nikita stood up. There is no we. You're going home to your wife after this. I'm going to bed alone, terrified I'm losing my son. We are not in this together. Finn stood too. I'm here, aren't I? For now, until it gets too hard, until Hope needs you, until your year is up and you realize I'm too much work. That's not going to happen. You don't know that. She was crying. You left me once, Finn. You chose your hospitals and your family legacy over us. What makes you think you won't do it again? Because I know what losing you cost me. And what did it cost you, really? You got to keep your empire, your respect, your perfect little life with Hope. What did you lose? Everything that mattered. That's a nice speech, but speeches don't change history. They stared at each other across her tiny kitchen. I don't know how to prove this to you, Finn said quietly. You can't, not while you're still married to her. So what do I do? Break my agreement with Hope? Destroy what's left of my hospitals? Lose everything just to prove a point? I'm not asking you to do any of that. Then what are you asking? Nothing. Nikita wiped her eyes. I'm asking for nothing, Finn. That's the problem. I don't want to need you. I don't want to be another responsibility you have to manage. You're not a responsibility, aren't I? You pay my bills. You save my son. You swoop in whenever there's a crisis. That's what you do. You fix things. But I don't want to be fixed. I'm trying to help. I know, and that's what makes this so hard. She moved to the door, opened it. Thank you for dinner, but you should go. Nikita, please. Finn left, again, in his car. He called Mira. I'm making everything worse, he said. What happened? He told her about the fight. She's right, you know, Mira said when he finished. About what? You do try to fix everything. It's your default. Someone has a problem, you throw money or solutions at it. What's wrong with that? Nothing if they ask for it. But Nikita didn't ask. You just assumed she needed saving. She does need help. She needs a partner. Someone who treats her like an equal, not someone who treats her like a problem to be solved. Finn was quiet. And, Mira continued gently, she's right that you're still choosing Hope, every day, even if it's for good reasons. I made a deal. I know. And you're honoring it. That's admirable. But from Nikita's perspective, you're choosing another woman over her. Again, can you understand why that's hard for her? He could. God, he could. So what do I do? You have two choices. You break your agreement with Hope, face whatever consequences come, and choose Nikita now. Or you honor your agreement and accept that Nikita might not wait for you. Those are both terrible options. Welcome to being in love. It's terrible. Finn laughed despite himself. For what it's worth, Mira said, I think Nikita loves you too. She's just protecting herself. And can you blame her? No. So be patient, be honest, and stop trying to fix her. Just be there. That's all she really needs. Finn thought about that. The next day, he stopped by Nikita's apartment. She looked surprised to see him. I'm not here to fix anything, he said. I'm just here. If you want me to leave, I will. But if you want company, I can stay. Nikita studied him. Scott's at preschool for another hour, she said finally. Okay. I'm just folding laundry. Okay. It's boring. I don't care. She let him in. They didn't talk much. He helped fold tiny shirts. She didn't send him away. It was something. And slowly, carefully, they started building something that looked like trust. Chapter 5. When the enemy gets smarter. The weeks leading up to the custody trial were brutal. John's lawyers were relentless. They dug into every aspect of Nikita's life, her job history, her finances, her relationships. They found old credit reports showing missed payments. They found evidence she'd been fired from a job years ago for taking too much time off, because Scott had been sick. They twisted everything to make her look unstable. Simone fought back hard, but Vernon Barnes had resources that made even Simone nervous. "They're playing dirty," she told Nikita. "We need to be ready for anything." The trial date was set, less than a month away. Finn spent as much time as he could with Nikita, but always carefully, always mindful of not crossing lines that would hurt her case. He and Hope had settled into a strange kind of peace. They still went to counseling every week, still did public events together. But there was an understanding now. "I know you're in love with someone else," Hope said one night after therapy. Finn didn't deny it. "Is it that woman from the hospital, Nikita?" "Yes," Hope nodded. "I thought so. The way you looked when her son came in. I've never seen you look like that." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I'm seeing someone too." Finn was surprised. "You are?" "Nothing serious, just someone who makes me laugh. Someone I chose." She smiled sadly. "It's nice, choosing someone." "Yeah, it is." They sat in comfortable silence. 7 more months, Hope said. 7 more months. Then we're both free. Free. The word felt heavy with possibility. The custody trial began on a cold morning in late autumn. The courtroom was packed, John and his parents on one side, Nikita, Simone and Ray on the other. Finn sat in the back, ready to testify. John's lawyer, Demetrius Young, was everything Finn had feared. Slick, smart, ruthless. He painted John as a reformed man, someone who'd made mistakes but was ready to be a father. John took the stand, looking nervous and earnest. "I was young when Scott was born," he said. "Scared. I made the worst decision of my life when I walked away. But I've grown up. I have a good job now, a stable home. My parents want to help. Scott deserves to know his father's family." Simone's cross-examination was brutal. "Mr. Barnes, when is Scott's birthday?" John paused. "February." "What day?" "The 15th? "It's the 3rd. What's his favorite color?" "Blue? Red? Does he have any allergies?" "I'm not sure. He's allergic to strawberries, severely. You didn't know that?" "I haven't had the chance. You've had visitation rights for weeks. How many times have you visited?" John shifted. "My work schedule." "How many times?" "None." The courtroom murmured. "None," Simone repeated. "You want custody, but you haven't visited once?" "I was giving Nikita space. Or you didn't care until your parents decided Scott was valuable." Demetrius objected. The judge sustained it. But the damage was done. Vernon took the stand next. And here's where things got interesting. Demetrius asked about his relationship with John, his desire to know his grandson. Vernon was smooth, polished. "I regret not being involved from the start. We gave John bad advice, told him to protect himself legally instead of stepping up as a father. That was wrong. We want to correct that mistake." Simone stood for cross-examination. "Mr. Barnes, you own several properties in Washington, correct?" "Yes." "Including the building where John's apartment is located?" "Yes." "And you recently renovated that apartment?" "To make it suitable for a child." "Who paid for the renovations?" "I did. And the nanny who's been staying there during the home study." "I hired her." "So this isn't about John wanting to be a father. This is about you staging a convincing performance." Vernon's jaw tightened. "I'm helping my son prepare." "You're controlling him, the same way you've controlled him his whole life." "Objection!" Demetrius was on his feet. "Withdrawn." Simone moved closer. "Mr. Barnes, Where was your wife during Scott's birth? I don't see how that's relevant. Answer the question. She was at our vacation home in the Hamptons. And where were you? In Washington, working. So, neither of you came when your grandson was born? We didn't know. John told you. We have the text messages. You told him to handle it and make it go away. Those are your words, correct? Vernon couldn't answer. You don't want Scott because you love him, Simone said. You want him because Nikita Stokes had the audacity to raise him without your permission. This is about control, not love. The judge called a recess. Finn found Nikita in the hallway. She was shaking. That was incredible, he said. It's not enough. You saw Vernon. He's too smooth, too prepared. Simone got him rattled. For a minute, then he'll come back stronger. Finn wanted to tell her it would be okay, but he'd learned not to make promises he couldn't keep. Whatever happens, we'll deal with it, he said instead. You keep saying that. Because I mean it. Nikita looked at him. Your wife is in the gallery. Did you know that? Finn turned. Hope was sitting in the back row, watching them. She wanted to support me, Finn said, to testify about my character if needed. That's unexpected. She's trying, we both are. Nikita nodded slowly. I judged her, without ever meeting her, made her the villain in my head. She was cruel to me. That's not your imagination. But she was also trapped, like you. Nikita looked back at Hope. Maybe she's not the villain. Maybe nobody is. Maybe we're all just people trying to survive. It was the most generous thing Finn had ever heard Nikita say about Hope. When this is over, Nikita said quietly, we need to talk, really talk, about what this is, what we want it to be. Okay, but not until this is over. I can't think about us while I'm fighting for Scott. I understand. Do you? Because I need you to really understand. Scott comes first. Always. If being with me means being his father, you have to be all in. No halfway. I know. I don't think you do. He's going to have nightmares. He's going to test you. He's going to ask you 1,000 questions and need you at the worst times. Being a parent isn't romantic. It's exhausting and boring and relentless. I want that. All of it. Nikita studied his face. Ask me again in 7 months, when you're actually free. Then we'll see if you mean it. The trial resumed. Nikita took the stand, and she was magnificent. She spoke about raising Scott alone, about the drowning, the terror, the CPR she'd performed while praying he'd survive, about every late night, every sacrifice, every moment of joy. I'm not perfect, she said. I've made mistakes. I drove into that flood. I've missed rent payments. I've had to choose between groceries and electricity. But I've loved my son every single day of his life, and that has to count for something. The courtroom was silent. Then Demetrius stood. Ms. Stokes, you've testified that you love your son, but love doesn't pay for college. It doesn't provide opportunities. What can you give Scott that the Barnes family can't? Myself. Is that enough? It's everything. Your finances are in shambles. You've been unemployed multiple times. You rely on Dr. Allen's charity to survive. Is that really the stable environment a child needs? I'm working. I'm getting back on my feet. With Dr. Allen's help. How long have you been in a relationship with him? We're friends. Friends who are clearly in love. The court can see it. The question is whether you're using him for financial support, Simone objected. The judge sustained, but Demetrius had made his point. When Finn was called to testify, he expected Demetrius to attack him too. What he didn't expect was how personal it would get. Dr. Allen, you're married, correct? Yes. But you're in love with Miss Stokes? Yes. So you're having an emotional affair? No, my marriage is ending, My wife and I have an agreement to stay together, while you pursue a relationship with another woman. That's not what's happening, isn't it? You pay Miss Stokes's bills, you spend time with her son, you're building a relationship while still married to someone else. What kind of character does that show? Finn's jaw clenched. I'm helping someone I care about. There's nothing wrong with that. Helping, or trying to buy your way into her life. Objection, Simone called. Sustained. Mr. Young, move on. Demetrius smiled. He'd made his point. The trial lasted 3 days. At the end, the judge took a recess to deliberate. They had to wait 2 more days for the decision. 2 days of Nikita, barely eating, barely sleeping. Finn wanted to be with her, but she needed space, needed to prepare for the worst. Finally, the call came. The judge had a ruling, and everyone's future hung in the balance. Chapter 6. The Custody War. The courtroom was suffocating. Nikita sat rigid in her chair, Simone beside her, Ray behind them. Finn sat in the gallery next to Hope, who'd insisted on coming for support. John and his parents looked confident. Vernon's face was impassive, but there was a gleam in his eyes that made Finn's stomach turn. Judge Morrison entered. Everyone stood. I've reviewed all evidence, testimonies, and reports, the judge began. This is a difficult case. On one hand, we have a father who abandoned his child and is now seeking custody. On the other, we have a mother who loves her son, but has demonstrated questionable judgment in certain circumstances. Nikita's breath hitched. However, the judge continued, the law is clear. The best interest of the child is paramount, and what I've seen here concerns me deeply. Finn's hands were clenched so tight his knuckles were white. Mr. Barnes, you testified that you want to be a father, yet you couldn't answer basic questions about your son's health, preferences, or daily life. You've had opportunities to visit and chose not to. Your preparation appears to be entirely orchestrated by your parents. John shifted uncomfortably. Miss Stokes, while you've made mistakes, you've also shown unwavering dedication. You saved your son's life. You've provided for him despite significant financial challenges. You've put him first, consistently. Nikita was crying. Therefore, I'm granting sole custody to Nikita Stokes. The courtroom erupted. Nikita collapsed forward, sobbing. Simone grabbed her. Furthermore, the judge said loudly, cutting through the noise, Mr. Barnes's parental rights, which he previously signed away, will not be reinstated. I see no compelling reason to disrupt this child's life by introducing a father who has shown no genuine interest in parenting. Vernon shot to his feet. Your Honor, we intend to appeal. You may appeal all you like, Mr. Barnes, but I believe my decision will stand. And let me be clear, any further legal action will be viewed as harassment. Scott Stokes belongs with his mother. This court is adjourned. The gavel came down. Nikita was sobbing so hard she couldn't stand. Ray and Simone held her up. Finn wanted to go to her, but Hope touched his arm. Give them a moment, she said quietly. Let her have this with her family. She was right. Outside the courthouse, Vernon cornered Simone. This isn't over, he said. Yes, it is. The judge was clear. We have resources. We can appeal to higher courts and lose again. Face it, Mr. Barnes, you lost. Your son lost. But Scott won. That's what matters. Vernon's face went purple. Phyllis pulled him away before he could say something that would land him in contempt. John lingered. He looked at Nikita, opened his mouth like he wanted to say something. Don't, Ray said sharply. You lost the right to speak to her. John left. Finn finally approached. Nikita saw him, and something in her face cracked open. She walked straight to him, and he caught her, holding her, while she sobbed into his chest. It's over, he murmured. You won. He's yours. I was so scared, she whispered. So scared. I know, but you did it. You fought and you won. They stood like that for a long time, until Nikita pulled back. wiping her eyes. "Thank you," she said, "for testifying, for being here. I wouldn't have been anywhere else." Hope approached carefully. "Ms. Stokes? I'm Hope Allen, Finn's wife." Nikita stiffened. "Oh, hello. I just wanted to say, what you did was incredible. The way you fought for your son. It was really brave." Nikita looked surprised. "Thank you. I also wanted to apologize for any role I played in making this harder. I know my father was involved with Vernon Barnes on the business side. I had nothing to do with that, but still, I'm sorry." "You didn't know about it?" "Not until yesterday. When I found out, I told my father he was on his own. I'm done enabling his schemes." There was something different about Hope, clearer, more herself. Nikita studied her. "You're really okay with this? With Finn and me?" "I'm getting divorced in 6 months. What Finn does after that is his business." Hope smiled. "But for what it's worth, he's a good man. Terrible husband for me, but a good man. I think you two have a real chance." "That's very mature of you." "I'm trying to be. Growth is hard." Hope looked at Finn. "I'm heading home. I'll see you later." She left. Nikita watched her go. I expected to hate her. Most people do at first. But she's not. She's just a person who's been as trapped as everyone else. Yeah. They stood in the afternoon sun, the courthouse behind them, the rest of their lives ahead. 6 months, Nikita said. 6 months. That's not that long. It's going to feel like forever. Yeah. She looked at him. But maybe that's good. Maybe we need the time to figure out who we are now, not who we were 7 years ago. I know who I am. I'm the man who loves you. That's not enough, though. I need to know you're ready for all of this. Scott, the chaos, the responsibility. And you need to know too. Really know, not just think you know. So what do? We wait, we're patient, and we figure ourselves out first. She touched his face. I love you, Finn, but I need to love myself too, need to prove I can stand on my own. You don't have to prove anything. I do, to myself. She stepped back. 6 months, then we try this for real, all in, no holding back. And until then, we're friends, co-parenting, kind of. You can see Scott, be part of his life, but you and me, we wait. It hurt, but Finn understood. Okay, he said, we wait. Nikita smiled. Look at us, being mature. It's terrible, the worst. They laughed. And even though 6 months felt impossible, Finn felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Chapter 7. Love in the Ruins. The 6 months were the longest of Finn's life. He saw Nikita regularly, dropping by after work, taking Scott to the park, helping with dinner. But they kept careful boundaries, no crossing lines, no muddying the waters. It was torture. His marriage to Hope continued its strange evolution. They were almost friends now, real friends. Hope had started her own company, an art gallery showcasing emerging artists. It was small, but successful. She'd found something that was hers. I spent my whole life doing what my father wanted, she told Finn one night over their now regular Tuesday dinners. I forgot who I was. Or maybe I never knew. You're figuring it out now. So are you. She smiled. You're different. Lighter. I'm happier. Because of her. Yeah. Does she make you laugh? All the time. Good. You deserve that. Hope paused. For what it's worth, I'm sorry I made you so miserable. I made you miserable too. We were good at that. She raised her wine glass. To being better. They clinked glasses. The divorce papers were filed at the 5-month mark. No contest, clean split. Hope got the house, some investments. Finn kept the hospitals. They signed the papers together, then went to dinner to celebrate. This is weird, right? Hope said. Celebrating our divorce? Completely weird. But also kind of perfect. Yeah. A week before the divorce was final, Hope invited Finn to her gallery opening. "Bring Nikita," she said. "I'd like to meet her properly, not at a courthouse." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," Finn asked Nikita. She was hesitant. "It won't be awkward?" she asked. "Probably very awkward. But Hope wants to meet you, and she's been good about all of this." Nikita agreed. The gallery was beautiful, full of Hope's careful curation, her eye for talent. When Nikita arrived, Hope greeted her warmly. "I'm so glad you came," Hope said. "Your gallery is stunning." "Thank you. Come, let me show you around." They walked through the space together while Finn watched, amazed. At one point, he saw them laughing together over a particularly abstract piece. Mira appeared next to him. "That's surreal. Tell me about it." "Your ex-wife and your future wife bonding over art." "She's not my future wife. Yet." "Yet." Mira smiled. "How are you feeling about the divorce being final?" "Relieved, terrified, excited." "That's a lot." "I know." "And Nikita? How's she feeling?" "Scared, I think. We both are." "Of what?" "Of this not working. Of messing it up again." Mira put her hand on his arm. "You're not the same people you were 7 years ago. You've both grown. You've both fought for this. It's going to work." "How do you know?" "Because you're actually trying this time, both of you." The night of the divorce finalization, Finn didn't go to Nikita's apartment. He gave her space, sent a text. "It's official. I'm free. No rush. Whenever you're ready." She replied an hour later. "Tomorrow. Dinner at my place, just us." The next evening, Finn stood outside Nikita's door, more nervous than he'd been in years. She opened it wearing jeans and a sweater, hair down, no makeup. "Beautiful." "Hi," she said. "Hi. Scott's at Ray's for the night." "Okay. I made pasta. It's probably terrible." "I'm sure it's great." They stood there. "Are you going to come in or just stand in the hallway?" Nikita asked, smiling. "Right. Coming in." Dinner was awkward at first, too polite, too careful. Finally, Nikita set down her fork. "This is stupid," she said. "What is?" "This, us pretending we're not terrified." "I'm terrified." "Me too." "Of what?" "Of this being too good. Of waking up and realizing it was all a dream. Of you changing your mind." Finn reached across the table, took her hand. "I'm not changing my mind. I've spent 7 years knowing I made the wrong choice. I'm not making it again. What if we're not compatible anymore? We're different people. Then we figure it out, together. What if I drive you crazy? You already drive me crazy. I'm counting on it." Nikita laughed. "This is insane." "Probably. We have a kid, a whole life. We can't just... Why not?" "Because it's scary. Everything good is scary." Nikita looked at their joined hands. "I don't know how to do this, how to let someone in again." "Neither do I. So we learn together. What if we screw it up? Then we fix it. We talk about it. We don't run away." Nikita's eyes were wet. "I want this so much it terrifies me." "Me too." She stood up, moved around the table to him. He stood too. "I love you," she said. "I've loved you for 7 years. Even when I hated you, I loved you. I love you too, always have. So what do we do now?" "Whatever we want." Nikita kissed him. And it was everything. 7 years of longing, pain, hope, fear, all of it in that kiss. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Nikita laughed. "Scott's going to lose his mind when he finds out we're together. He's going to be insufferable. He's already planning our wedding." "Is he now?" "He told Ray he wants to be the ring bearer and the best man. Ambitious. He gets it from me." They kissed again, and again. This time, they made it to the bedroom. Afterward, wrapped around each other, Nikita traced patterns on Finn's chest. "I'm still scared," she whispered. "Me too. But I'm also happy. Me too." Don't leave. Never. Promise. I promise. They fell asleep like that, tangled together, finally home. When Scott came back the next day and saw Finn making breakfast in the kitchen, he stopped dead. "Are you staying now?" he asked. "If that's okay with you," Finn said. Scott considered this very seriously. "Can you make pancakes?" "Yes, and read me stories. Every night. And teach me about bones? All the bones you want." Scott grinned. "Okay, you can stay." Then he ran to Nikita. "Mama, Finn's staying." Nikita scooped him up. "I know, baby." "Forever?" She looked at Finn over Scott's head. "Forever." And just like that, they were a family. Chapter 8. The Lovers Who Almost Destroy Each Other. 3 months into their relationship, they had their first real fight. Scott had a nightmare. Finn went to comfort him, but Scott pushed him away, screaming for Nikita. Finn backed off, let Nikita handle it, but it stung. The next morning, Finn was quiet. "What's wrong?" Nikita asked after dropping Scott at preschool. "Nothing." "Finn, he didn't want me last night. He only wanted you." Nikita sighed. "He was scared. He wanted his mom." "I know, I get it, but it reminded me that I'm not his real father. You're as real as it gets. You're the one who's here. But I'm not his biological father. John is. John is a sperm donor. You're his dad. Am I? Because sometimes it feels like I'm playing house, like at any moment Scott's going to realize I'm not really his." Nikita pulled the car over. "What is this really about?" "I don't know, what if I'm not enough? What if he grows up and resents me for not being his real dad? And what if he grows up grateful he had someone who chose him, who showed up every day?" Nikita grabbed his hand. "You're scared. I get it. But don't project that onto Scott. He loves you. I love him too. So much it terrifies me. Then trust that. Trust us." They got through it. But it was the first crack. The second came a month later. Finn wanted to adopt Scott formally. Nikita hesitated. "Why are you hesitating?" Finn asked. "Because it's a big step. We live together. We're talking about getting married. How is adoption different?" "Because marriage is between us. Adoption affects Scott." What if what? What if we break up? Is that what you're worried about?" "I'm worried about protecting my son. Our son. He's my son, Finn. He was my son before you came back into my life." The words hung between them like a slap. "Wow," Finn said quietly. "Okay. I didn't mean it like that." "Yes, you did. And maybe you're right. Maybe I'm deluding myself thinking I can be his father." "Finn, stop. No, I get it. I'm the guy who shows up and plays dad. But when it matters, when it's about legal stuff, I'm just the boyfriend. That's not fair, isn't it? You won't let me adopt him. What does that tell me about where I stand?" Nikita's eyes filled with tears. "It tells you I'm scared. I'm scared of giving you that much power and then watching you walk away." "I'm not walking away. You did before." There it was, the fear that lived beneath everything. Finn took a breath. "I'm not the man I was 7 years ago." "How do I know that?" "Because I'm here. Because I chose this. Because I wake up every day and choose it again." People change their minds. Not about this. Not about you and Scott. You don't know that. "Yes, I do." They were both yelling now. In the next room, Scott called out, "Why are you fighting?" They both stopped, looked at each other. "We need help," Nikita said quietly. "What?" "We need therapy, together, because we're both carrying so much fear and hurt and we're taking it out on each other." She was right. They found a therapist, Dr. Marcus Lane. He was in his 50s, calm, unflappable. The first session he listened to them both, then said, "You're both waiting for the other person to abandon you. so you keep testing each other, pushing to see if the other will leave. You need to stop that. How? Nikita asked. By deciding to trust. It's a choice. Every day you choose to trust that the other person is staying. And if they don't stay, Finn asked, then you deal with it. But you can't live your whole life preparing for the worst. You'll miss the good parts. Over the next few months, they worked on it, learning to fight without destroying each other, learning to say, I'm scared, instead of lashing out. One night, after a session, Nikita said, I want you to adopt Scott. Finn looked at her. Are you sure? I'm sure. You're his dad. You've earned that, and I'm done letting fear make my decisions. I'm scared too, you know, of messing this up. Then we'll mess it up together. They filed the adoption papers. The day it was finalized, Scott became Scott Allen officially. The judge asked Scott if he understood what was happening. Finn's my dad now, Scott said seriously. For real, forever. That's right, the judge said, smiling. Scott looked at Finn. Can I call you Dad? Finn's throat closed. He nodded. Okay, Dad. That one word. It broke him open. In the courthouse hallway, Nikita found Finn crying. You okay? She asked. He called me Dad. I heard. I have a son. You've had a son for months. I know, but now it's real, official. Nikita wrapped her arms around him. Welcome to fatherhood. It's terrifying. I love him so much. I know. He loves you too. That night, putting Scott to bed, Finn read him his favorite dinosaur book. Dad? Scott said when they finished. Yeah, buddy? Are you going to marry Mama? Would you like that? Yeah, then we'll be a real family. We're already a real family, but with a wedding and cake. Finn laughed. I'll see what I can do. Scott fell asleep with a smile on his face. Nikita was waiting in their bedroom. He asked about marriage, Finn said. Of course he did. What do you think? I think, she paused. I think I want to marry you, but I want to do it right, not rushed, not because we feel like we should, because we're ready. When will we be ready? When we stop being scared. That might take a while. Then we'll wait a while. Finn pulled her close. I can wait. I'm not going anywhere. Promise? Promise. They'd said that before, but this time they both believed it. Chapter 9. The trial that decides everything. A year after the custody trial, John Barnes died. Car accident. Quick. He didn't suffer. Nikita found out from Simone, who called to warn her that Vernon and Phyllis might try again. They did. Within a week of John's death, Vernon filed for grandparents' rights, claimed that with John gone, they deserved to be part of Scott's life. They can't do this, Nikita said, pacing their living room. The judge said, the circumstances have changed, Simone said on speakerphone. John's death gives them new legal standing. This is harassment, I know, and we'll fight it. But Nikita, I need to be honest. Grandparents' rights cases are tricky. Vernon has resources. He could drag this out. After the call, Nikita sat down heavily. I can't do this again, she whispered. I can't keep fighting for my son. Finn sat next to her. Then we end it, permanently. How? We give them what they want, sort of. What do you mean? They want access to Scott, so we give them that, on our terms, controlled, limited. You want to let them see him? Nikita pulled her hands away. After everything? I want to take away their ammunition. If we offer supervised visits, they have nothing to stand on. And if they manipulate him? Then the visits stop. We document everything. Nikita looked at him like he'd lost his mind. This is insane. Maybe, but Scott shouldn't have to testify again. He's 4 years old. She knew he was right. Hated it, but knew it. Okay, but the first time Vernon steps out of line, it's over. Agreed. The next day, Finn called Vernon Barnes directly. "Mr. Barnes, this is Finn Allen. I have a proposal." Vernon was silent for a moment. "I'm listening." "You want to know Scott? Fine. Supervised visits once a month. At our home. 1 hour. No lawyers. No courts." That's the offer. Take it or leave it. But if you leave it and try to fight us in court, I'll dedicate every resource I have to burying you. I'll expose every shady business dealing, every bribe, every corner you've cut. I'll make your life hell. You're threatening me. I'm offering you a choice. Be in Scott's life in a limited way or lose access completely. What's it worth to you? Vernon was quiet for a long time. Once a month, 1 hour. And if you try to manipulate Scott, if you talk badly about his mother, if you do anything that upsets him, it stops. Immediately. Fine. And Vernon? Scott will never call you Grandpa. You haven't earned that. You'll be Mr. Barnes. Take it or leave it. I'll take it. Drop the legal petition today, or the deal's off. Agreed. They set the first visit for the following month. Vernon came alone. Phyllis had apparently wanted no part of it. He sat stiffly in their living room while Scott played with his trucks on the floor. "Hello, Scott," Vernon said. Scott looked up. "Hi. I was your father's father." "I know. Mama told me. You wanted to take me away." Vernon flinched. Yes, I made a mistake. Mama says people make mistakes, but you have to say sorry." "I'm sorry." Scott considered this. "Okay. Do you like trucks?" I suppose. This one's my favorite. It's a dump truck. Dad got it for me." Vernon's eyes flicked to Finn, who was sitting nearby. They sat like that for an hour. Scott playing, occasionally showing Vernon a toy. Vernon watching, clearly uncomfortable. When the hour was up, Vernon stood. "Thank you for allowing this," he said to Nikita. "Don't thank me. Thank Scott. He's the one who agreed to meet you." Vernon nodded, looked at Scott. "May I come back next month?" Scott looked at Nikita. She nodded. "Okay," Scott said. After Vernon left, Nikita exhaled. "That was weird," she said. "Very weird," Finn agreed. "Do you think he meant it? The apology?" "I don't know. But he showed up. He tried. That's something." Over the next few months, Vernon kept coming. The visits were always awkward, always supervised. But Vernon showed up. Slowly, something shifted. Vernon started bringing books, age-appropriate ones about trains and dinosaurs. He asked Scott questions and actually listened to the answers. One day Scott asked Vernon about John. "What was my father like?" Scott asked. He was 4 now, old enough to be curious. Vernon looked surprised, then sad. He was a lot like you. Curious, smart. He liked building things." "Did he love me?" The question hung in the air. Vernon looked at Nikita, then at Scott. "I don't know. He was scared, and he made bad choices because of that fear. But," Vernon's voice cracked, "but I think if he'd been braver, he would have loved you very much." It was the most honest thing Vernon had ever said. Scott nodded, accepting this. "I have Dad now. He's brave." Vernon looked at Finn. For the first time there was something like respect in his eyes. "Yes," Vernon said, "you do." After that, the visits got a little easier. Vernon would never be Grandpa, would never be family in the traditional sense. But he was in Scott's life in a small way, and that was enough. One night, months later, Finn found Nikita on the balcony. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "How weird life is. A year ago, I was terrified of losing Scott. Now Vernon Barnes is reading him bedtime stories once a month, and it's fine. It's actually fine. Are you glad we let him in?" "Yeah. Scott deserves to know where he comes from, even the complicated parts." "You're a good mom." "I'm trying." Finn wrapped his arms around her from behind. "I have a question." "Okay." Will you marry me? Nikita turned in his arms. Are you serious? Very serious. I don't have a ring yet. I wanted to ask first. Make sure you were ready. We said we'd wait until we weren't scared anymore. We did, but I realized something. I'm always going to be a little scared. That's part of loving someone this much. The question is whether I let the fear stop me. And I'm done letting fear make my decisions. Nikita's eyes filled. Ask me properly. Finn dropped to one knee right there on the balcony. Nikita Stokes, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life loving you and Scott? Will you be my family, officially and forever? Yes, she whispered. Yes, yes, yes. He stood, kissed her. From inside Scott's voice, are you kissing again? Can I watch? They laughed, pulled him into the hug. We're getting married, Nikita told him. Finally, Scott said. Can I be the ring bearer and the best man? You can be whatever you want, Finn said. Scott grinned. This is the best day ever. And looking at his family, his son, his fiancée, his whole world, Finn agreed. It really was. Chapter 10. The life they fought for the wedding was small. Just family and close friends in Nikita's mother's backyard. Scott took his dual role as ring bearer and best man very seriously. He wore a tiny suit and carried the rings on a pillow like they were made of glass. Ray officiated, her voice strong and clear. We're here because these two idiots finally figured out what the rest of us knew years ago. They're meant for each other. Everyone laughed. Finn's vows. I spent 7 years living the wrong life, making the wrong choices. Then you and Scott gave me a second chance. I promised to never take that for granted, to show up every day, even when it's hard, to love you both with everything I have. You're my home. You always have been. Nikita's vows. You saved my son's life. But more than that, you reminded me that love doesn't have to hurt. That I deserve to be chosen. You choose me every day, and I choose you right back. I love you, Finn. Today, tomorrow, always. They kissed. Scott cheered louder than anyone. The reception was perfect chaos. Scott ran around with the other kids, showing off his suit. Claudette cried happy tears. Mira gave a speech about how Finn was the most stubborn man she'd ever met, but also the most loyal. Hope sent a gift, a painting from her gallery with a note, to new beginnings. You deserve this, both of you. Vernon Barnes didn't come to the wedding, but he sent a card with a check for Scott's college fund. The card read, For my grandson. May he grow up knowing he is loved. It was more than Nikita ever expected from him. As the sun set, Finn and Nikita slow danced, while Scott sat on Ray's lap, fighting sleep. I can't believe we're actually married, Nikita said. Believe it. What if I wake up and this is all a dream? Then I'll still be here when you wake up. She smiled. Promise? Always. They danced until the stars came out. A year later, their daughter was born. They named her Hope, not after Finn's ex-wife, but after what their family represented. Hope that people could change, that second chances were real, that love could survive anything. Scott was obsessed with his baby sister. He brought her toys constantly, told her about dinosaurs, in a gentle whisper, insisted on helping with everything. Gentle buddy, Finn would remind him. I know, Dad. I'm being careful. Finn cut back his hours at the hospital. He was still chief of surgery, but he'd hired a strong administrative team so he could actually come home at reasonable times. Nikita had finished her degree and was working with single mothers, helping them navigate the system she'd survived. She came home with stories that broke her heart and filled it in the same breath. Their life wasn't perfect. Scott still had nightmares sometimes. Hope cried through the night. They fought about stupid things like dishes and whose turn it was to do laundry, but they showed up for each other every day. One evening, Finn came home to find Scott showing baby Hope his truck collection while Nikita made dinner. "Da-da!" Hope squealed when she saw him. His heart still melted every time. Scott ran over. "Dad, I got an A on my spelling test." "That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. Can we get ice cream?" "After dinner." "Okay." Scott ran back to Hope. "Did you hear that? We're getting ice cream." Nikita appeared, kissed Finn hello. "Good day?" "Long surgery, but successful." "Good." She handed him Hope. "Your turn. I need 20 minutes of quiet to finish dinner." Finn took his daughter, who immediately grabbed his nose. "Dada," she said again. "That's right. I'm Dada." Scott came over, leaned against Finn's leg. "Dad?" "Yeah?" "I love you." Finn's throat tightened. "I love you too, buddy. And Mama, and Hope. We're a family." "We are." "Forever?" Finn looked at Nikita, who was watching them with tears in her eyes. "Forever," he promised. Later that night, after the kids were in bed, Finn found Nikita on their porch. "Penny for your thoughts," he said. "Just thinking about how far we've come, from that hospital room to here. It's been quite a journey. Do you ever regret it? Giving up your CEO position, the money, all of it?" "Never, not once. Even on hard days? Especially on hard days. Because on hard days I come home to you and Scott and Hope. That's everything." Nikita leaned into him. "I was so scared of this, of letting you in, of believing it could work." "Are you still scared?" "Sometimes, but mostly I'm just grateful for all of it, even the hard parts." "Me too." They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the night sounds. "I have news," Nikita said. "Oh?" "Vernon called. He's sick. Cancer. He wanted Scott to know." "How do you feel about that?" "Sad. For him, for Scott. Vernon's not a good man, but he's been trying, in his way." "Does Scott know?" "Not yet. I wanted to talk to you first." "What do you want to do?" "I think we should visit him. Let Scott say goodbye when the time comes." Finn nodded. "Okay, we'll do that." Because that's what families did. They showed up, even when it was hard. A few weeks later, they took Scott to visit Vernon in the hospital. He looked small in the bed, diminished by illness. "Hello, Scott," Vernon said, his voice weak. "Hi, Mr. Barnes. Mama said you're sick." "I am. Very sick." Scott climbed onto the chair next to the bed. "Are you going to die?" "Yes, probably soon." "That's sad." "It is." Scott was quiet for a moment. "Do you want to see my picture? I drew it for you." He pulled out a crayon drawing of a family. Stick figures labeled Mama, Dad, me, Baby Hope, and in the corner, a separate figure labeled Mr. Barnes. Vernon stared at it, tears rolling down his face. "You drew me," he whispered. "Yeah, you're part of our story. Mama said everyone's part of the story, even the complicated parts." Vernon looked at Nikita. "You're raising an extraordinary child." "I know." Vernon died 2 weeks later. His funeral was small. Scott insisted on bringing flowers. "Because he tried," Scott said. "That matters." From the mouths of children. That night, tucking Scott into bed, Finn asked, "Are you okay? About Mr. Barnes?" "I'm sad, but also okay. He wasn't a grandpa, but he was something. And something is better than nothing." "You're very wise for a 5-year-old." "I know. Mama says I get it from her." Finn laughed. "She's probably right." "Dad?" "Yeah?" "When I grow up, I want to be like you." "Yeah? Why's that?" "Because you're brave. You chose us even when it was hard." Finn's eyes burned. "Being your dad is the easiest choice I've ever made." "Really?" "Really." Scott smiled, already drifting off. Finn stayed until he was asleep, then found Nikita feeding Hope in their room. "He okay?" she asked. "More than okay. He's incredible. He gets it from you. He gets it from both of us." Later, with both kids asleep, they finally had a moment alone. Can you believe this is our life? Nikita asked. Sometimes I still can't. We almost missed it, all of it. But we didn't. No, we didn't. She turned to face him. I love you, Finn Allen. I love you too, Nikita Allen. The name still made her smile. They fell asleep tangled together, just like that first night they'd decided to try. The difference was, now they knew they could survive anything. Together, they'd survived loss and fear and doubt. Together, they'd built something real. And together, they'd keep building it. Every single day. For the rest of their lives.